So, good morning. So, we will continue with the TCP layer. We had seen the UDP protocol. The TCP protocol we'll see in detail little more today. So, the TCP transmission control protocol is reliable and connection oriented. We had seen the connection establishment phase last class. SYN flag is set. ACK plus SYN is received by the sender and the client will again send ACK. So like that, we establish a connection between client and server. The next phase is data transfer. TCP protocol permits bidirectional transfer. So at the same time, client and server both can be transmitting at the same time. For illustration purpose, we will say think that client is only transmitting and server is receiving like that. But actually, the client will send data, server also send data. So piggybacking, we had seen that terminology earlier. When the client wants to send a ACK, it will be sent along with the data which it is transmitting. Say, client is transmitting 1000 bytes. So the first byte is 8001. The sequence number would be the number of the first byte. So this segment would have a sequence number which is the number of the first byte, which is 8001. Along with it, it is transmitting ACK. So that is called piggybacking. Now in addition, here there are many flags. So in which there is one flag called push. So if this flag is set, what is the difference? So when push flag is set, so the server, what it does is, it has a buffer. It will keep the bytes in the buffer, and when it gets time, it will send to the application layer, or when application layer is free, it will forward to the application layer. Until then, it will be in the buffer. However, for some segment, if push flag is set, for instance, this segment with sequence number 8001, push flag is set, which means this data has to be sent as soon as possible by the server to the application layer, and it should not be kept waiting in the buffer for a long time. Maybe this is an interactive application. Say you would send something that other end, say OTP, it has to be received. So all such type of interactive application, they would possibly set this push button so that it should not wait for its turn in the buffer, and then it should be given to the application layer by the TCP layer. So it cannot be kept waiting. So push flag could be set. And there is another thing called urgent bit, which we had seen in the flags, urgent bit. So say suppose a client has sent a large bulk data. So it would be in that transit, and from the initial feedback, it finds that that was wrong or something's wrong is there, some fault is there, then it wants to abort that transmission. So sending application finds something wrong and wants to abort, but however, a huge data is there in the buffer. So if it does not do anything, the whole thing in the buffer has to be processed and sent. That would be a waste. So it could abort it. But that information has to reach prior to all these processing. So it has to be delivered urgently. So this urgent bit would be set 1, and a segment would be created, and this urgent data would contain an abort command. Now this urgent pointer in a segment would refer to the normal data, which is after this urgent data. So there is an urgent pointer also. So urgent pointer field would define the end of urgent data and start of normal data. Now the receiver would deliver this urgent segment, and then it will deliver it out of order to the uh, receiving process, so that information would be to abort this whole thing. So it need not, already it would be in this buffer. So urgent bit, push bit, these are certain bits which we had seen in the header, in the flag. So data transfer takes place as usual. Then third stage is connection termination. So normally this client would initiate closing of this session. Client would start the session, then data transfer would take place. It would close the session as well under the normal circumstances. And the three-way handshaking. After receiving close command from the client process. So the client TCP is receiving close command from the client process. It would send a fin, say finish, fin flag. We had seen the fin flag. So fin segment, fin flag is set. So there could be data as well. The last data, so there could be data, and it could be possibly the last segment. Along with it, it could send the finish, or it could be sent separately. Anyway, this will inform the process. This would be received, and it would inform the server process. And in turn, it will send a ACK for this fin, announcing the closing on connection, and that is again ACK. Okay. Sequence number for this ACK would be the same as this one. So here there is a sequence number Y. ACK is ACK X plus 1. So this is the termination process. Normally it is initiated by the client. Client itself starts the process, data transfer goes on, and the termination is three-way handshake. Now the functions of TCP. It is reliable and connection oriented. It has flow control, error control, and congestion control. Now the flow control, we had seen in data link layer, there is a window, sliding window. So there is a window, and size of this window is minimum of receiver window and congestion window. So there is a window in the receiver that reflects the buffer, as well as another window which reflects the congestion. So minimum of those two would be the size of this window at the transmitting side. So this is the transmitting side window size is determined by the receiver size buffer and receiver size congestion window. So actually window means a portion of buffer containing bytes received from the process. This is with reference to the client side. So data is obtained from the process. It has been transmitted, but ACK is not received, pending ACK. So byte inside the window can be in transit. So these are in transit. These many, we want to keep the pipe full. So stop and wait means we just send one thing, we wait for the ACK and then proceed to the next byte. Here there will be a lot of in-process bytes. So there are some difference between the window we had seen earlier. We had seen go back and protocol. In go back and protocol, it did not use negative acknowledgement. So it is in a way similar to go back and protocol because it does not use negative acknowledgement. And it is like selective repeat because it holds out of order segments. So at the receiver, anything received out of order would be kept there until everything is received, and it will be made in order, and the receiver TCP will forward it to the higher layer. However, here there is a difference between the data link layer. Data link layer is frame oriented, this one is byte oriented. And data link layer window is fixed size. But this window will be of variable size because this is a minimum of 2 windows and this congestion all are dynamic. So it is of variable size and it is byte oriented. So it is somewhat a combination of go back and selective repeat, similar to data link layer sliding window, but this is byte oriented and this is of variable size. So we had seen this selective repeat and go back and similar to that. Only thing is window size is variable and it is byte oriented. Now this window has a left wall and a right wall. Left one wall, this is fictitious. One wall, there's a right wall. And it can be opened, closed or shrunk. Opened means you can expand this. Closed means you can shrink, reduce this, or we'll just see this. This is controlled by the receiver. So actually the window at the transmitter is controlled by the receiver and depends on congestion in the network. So it is not controlled by the sender. So flow control means the receiver would initiate. Flow control would be initiated. So we should not overwhelm the receiver. So receiver, there is a buffer size that we have to take into account, and congestion also we have to take into account. So sender must obey commands of receiver. Opening a window means making the window larger, means moving the right wall to the right. This allows more bytes in the buffer that are eligible for sending. So you can have a large window size, means the right side wall would move further right, and this allows more bytes in the buffer. Actually, they are buffered bytes which are in transit. Crossing the window means moving the left wall to the right. So left wall റൈറ്റിലേക്ക് വരുന്ന ഇതൊക്കെ അക്നോളജ്മെന്റ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞ ബൈറ്റ്സ് ആണ്. ഒരു എ സിക്ക് റിസീവ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വി ആർ നോട്ട് കൺസേൺഡ് വിത്ത് ദിസ് ബൈറ്റ്, വിത്ത് ദിസ് എ സി കെ സി റിസീവ്. So it is not in transit. That complete activity corresponding to this byte n would have been over if ACK is received. Then we can move this to the right. That is closing direction. So closing the window means moving the left wall to the right. This means that some bytes have been acknowledged and sender need not worry anymore about these bytes. Shrinking the window means moving the right wall to the left. However, this is not advisable for various reasons. Shrinking is also possible because this is already in transit, and if you shrink this, some complications would arise. So some points about TCP sliding window is size of window is lesser of the receiver window and congestion window. Source does not have to send a full window's worth of data. Window can be opened or closed by the receiver, but should not be shrunk. Also, should not be shrunk. Destination can send an ACK at any time as long as it does not result in shrinking the window. Receiver can temporarily shut down the window. Sender, however, can always send a segment of 1 byte after the window is shut down. So these are some points to note regarding the windows, sliding window. So this just I put an example. The receiver window for host A, what should be the value? If the host B has a buffer size of 5000 bytes and 1000 bytes of the received and unprocessed data. So B is a host which has a 5000 byte of buffer, but 1000 bytes are filled, which means only 4000 is left. So only 4000 bytes it can receive. So receive window, that host B will advertise to the other host A. So that would be there in the segment header. Headerle segmentil receive window എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു ഫീൽഡ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ അഡ്വർടൈസ് ചെയ്യും. the receiving host, it will advertise that 4000 bytes is the value who will be put in the receive window. So the host A would come to know that it has only 4000 bytes free in the buffer, even though the byte size is 5000, 1000 is used up. Now error control. So that is regarding flow control. We are talking about the points only. The sliding window protocol is similar. The go back and the selective repeat protocol we need not explain. They are similar. Only thing is that the same protocol is used in the transport layer at a higher layer, and it is byte oriented. And the window size is minimum of receive window and congestion window. Only that difference is there. So that is regarding the flow control. Now error control means something is received in error. So basically the tools used are checksum, ACK, timer, timeout. Okay. What are the conditions under which retransmission occur? There are two occasions. Retransmission occurs if either the timer expires. What happens? Whenever any time a segment is transmitted, a timer should be started. Some value should be set. And when the timer expires, that segment would be retransmitted. That is one occasion. The next occasion is 3 duplicate ACK segments have arrived. We'll see that in detail. We are seeing that ACK is cumulative ACK. What is the next frame expected? That is the value. So when 3 duplicate ACK segments are arrived, also retransmission would happen. No retransmission for segments that do not consume sequence number. We have seen that certain segments in which only ACK is there, the number would be the previous number, sequence number. So sequence numbers are not consumed for only ACK segment. For such things, retransmission is not done. So ACK segments do not consume sequence number and are not acknowledged. Data may arrive out of order and be temporarily stored by the receiving TCP. But TCP guarantees that no out of order segment is delivered to the process. You will see 2-3 examples of this. So there would be a retransmission timer in which a timeout value is set. So for all the outstanding segments, they are sent, they are in the window, but are not acknowledged. There will be a timer. Now the timer would mature. When timer matures, earliest outstanding segment is retransmitted, which was transmitted first. When the timer matures, that one would be retransmitted. Now, how the value is set? The retransmission timeout is dynamic in TCP. The timer value is dynamic. It is updated based on round trip time of segment. So every time the round trip time might vary. It is not just a function of distance alone. It is not that this much of distance the time is fixed. It varies with the network condition. So the round trip time is updated and that is dynamic. So the value is changed. Sometimes, however, one segment is lost and receiver receives so many out of order segments. Okay. Suppose sequence number 1, 2, 3, 4 is transmitted, it arrives in order. Sequence number 5 is not received. Sequence number 6 to 20 is received, means until and unless that 5 is received, the receiver cannot forward all the 20 bytes to the application layer. So it has to be kept in the buffer. So they cannot be saved. The buffer size would be limited. So to avoid this situation, follow the 3 duplicate ACK rule. So there is another rule called 3 duplicate ACK. You will see. So there are 2 conditions. 3 duplicate ACK is the other condition. One is timer expired or 3 duplicate ACK. So either of them occur, we would we would do retransmission. So we'll see a normal operation. So client is sending sequence number 120121400 sequence number of the bytes. Then this should have a number 1201. So this had received 4000. Next ACK expected is 4001. It is received here. Now this is transmitting sequence number 4001 to 5000, different from this one. It has received ACK up to 1400. It is expecting 1401. Now here a timer is set for sending ACK. So if 5000 is received, it is next expecting 5001. So ACK 5001 will be sent after a delay. So ACK 5000, ACK needs to be delayed for 500 milliseconds to see if any more segments arrive. Okay, so no segment arrived within 500 milliseconds. Then the 500 millisecond timer is maturing and it will trigger an ACK of 5001. Only one segment is arriving. But see here, this 5001 to 6000 is arriving. One timer is started. Within that 500 millisecond, 6000 to 7000 is also, 6001 to 7000 is also arriving. So the cumulative ACK is sent without waiting for 500 milliseconds at 7001. So ACK 7001, when segment 5001 arrives, timer set. Before it matures, third segment arrives and triggers ACK. See, these are all algorithms and these are all rules. So anyone can design an algorithm and it should function properly and errors should be avoided. All the errors should be corrected. Accordingly, it should be done efficiently. Accordingly, algorithms are devised. So anyone can devise an algorithm and frame the rules. So this is done like this because it can take into account two segments. So that cumulative ACK of these two segments are triggered even before 500 millisecond timer is expired. So this is a normal operation for this TCP. What happens if a segment is lost? So if a segment is lost, see 501 to 600, it is received, it is kept in buffer. 601 to 700, it is also received, it is sending ACK for 701 only. After two segments are received, this is kept in buffer. It should be given to application layer whenever this TCP becomes free or application layer would ask for it, or depending on the process happening in the server. So this has sent 701. Now 701 to 800 is sent, it is lost here. Doesn't come here. The next segment is coming here. So there is a gap and it would put it in buffer. So this gap will remain as here. Now the next frame expected is again 700, so which it did not get. So the cumulative ACK is again 701. So it would come here. Now this timer is timeout after this round trip time of this 701 segment. Now this would alone be sent. Only the 701 800 is sent, not this one. So this timer corresponding to this timed out and this would be resent. Now everything is in order and this would be given to the application layer and the ACK would be next frame expected would be 901 because up to 900 is received here, everything is in order. So it would be 901. So this is a lost segment. Okay. Now we need to see one more aspect. So receiver TCP delivers only ordered data to the process. Duplicate ACK, 3 ACK. So fast retransmission RTO has a larger value. Suppose round trip time is large value. The round trip, this timeout, okay, retransmission timeout has a large value. Now see these. First segment received, second segment received, it is ACK, third segment is lost. Okay. Fourth segment received, fifth, sixth is received. In each of these cases, there is a gap here because 301 to 400 did not arrive. So the next frame expected is 301. Here also same 301. Here also same 301. So three duplicate ACKs. Actually four 301s are arriving. So here RTO has a larger value, timeout has a larger value, sender receive 4 ACKs with the same value. So this fellow is receiving 4 ACKs with the same value. So actually 3 are duplicates. Although timer for segment 3 has not matured yet. This timer for 301 has not matured. There is more time. However, even before that, fast retransmission requires that segment 3, segment that is expected by all these acknowledgements, be resent immediately after 3 duplicates. So we will not wait for this timeout to occur. As soon as these 3 duplicate ACK has received, this 301 to 400 would be sent immediately. ഈ മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഡ്യൂപ്ലിക്കേറ്റ് എ സിക്ക് ഇവിടെ റിസീവ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഇത് ഫസ്റ്റ് ഡ്യൂപ്ലിക്കേറ്റ് എ സിക്ക് second one, third one. Immediately, upon receiving 3 ACKs, it would retransmit the 301 to 400. So that is this two conditions. In modern implementation, retransmission occurs if retransmission timer expires or 3 duplicate ACK segments have arrived. So this is the scenario of 3 duplicate ACKs. Somehow the timeout is larger and 3 ACKs are received. So the next portion is something different. So that I will take on Thursday as well as on Friday. On both these days, I would be sending a link in which a recorded material would be sent, and I would be sending a small little questions on Thursday as well as Friday. So you need to submit in that on Moodle. So whenever there is a offline class, I generally give five questions or 10 questions, very short answer time, to be submitted through Moodle that day itself. So on Thursday and Friday, we would have offline class. Because I have some other duty on those days. So I would not be available for this live class. So Thursday, Friday, we will have this